talking with me today about this man, The Grove. I'm a horror fanatic, have been since I was a child. So when this came down my radar, I said, well, this is different. This sounds very, very thrilling. And for my audience at home, The Grove follows a soldier's homecoming that takes a dark turn when he forgets to take an experimental medication, triggering a descent into animalistic madness. What was meant to be a relaxing getaway with friends quickly turns into a fight for survival. Good Lord. So let's kick things off. Tell us, my readers, my audience, about your characters in The Grove, right? Who they are when we first meet them and how they evolve as the story unfolds.
Me first.
Yes.
Okay. Um, so my name is Gucci. Hi. I played Imani, which is the girlfriend of the best friend of the soldier. And so she's kind of like the mastermind in the movie. She's the one that even gets all of the people together to go to the woods and have a little getaway. She's the fun one. She's really the glue of all the friends. So over time, she quickly realizes that she probably shouldn't have invited everyone on this trip.
Right on. And how about you, Mr. White?
More so with TJ, he's the guy that he wants to have that traditional life of like, okay, I don't want to be, the stereotypical black guy. I want to have a life. I want to have a wife. I want to be a provider. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it. And whatever it took probably wasn't the best idea. So you see him go from this guy that's caring, he's very close to his friends, as you see when Imani and TJ and Chris and Alice are all in one group. But then as the outsiders kind of come in, his military instincts start to kick in, and you kind of see what happens like once that all clashes. Yeah.
So that leads to my follow-up question for you, sir. I mean, this film takes a very psychological and physical plunge into horror, obviously. So, as both the writer and actor, what inspired this concept of a soldier's descent into madness? I mean, is this a personal story for you?
Not more so personal. It's wanting to see something different for once, and kind of be able to see someone that looks like me in a non-Marvel film, but at the same time, you kind of throw that like line of like, I can see that being in something like that, but we don't get to tell those stories most of the time because they're not greenlit. So once you have the ability to greenlight it yourself, you kind of want to make something different. And this is one of those approaches to like, okay, if I could be this guy, what would his life be like? From a military and it kind of had a Marvel thing in mind when we went to writing it. So yeah.
And so, Gucci, right back to you. I mean, like you just mentioned, your character is caught in the middle of this terrifying unraveling, right? So, what was your approach to playing someone navigating trauma, fear, and survival in such an intense setting?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of substitution to start. That's how I approached my role and my relationships with everyone in general. Ironically, the guy who plays my boyfriend in my character, her boyfriend's name is Chris, and at the time, my boyfriend's name was Chris. I was like, oh, great, easy little link. But it was a lot of substitution, just substituting my boyfriend. I do have a core group of friends, ones that I went to school with, in which my character as well. So that, and then in terms of the horror and things, I've never done a horror movie. I typically stay away from them because I'm just very scary. But I was excited to take on this role. um in that aspect, I really just lived in the moment, like when things got in the thick of it, I just knew where I was, what had just happened, even if, when we're shooting, it's never really consecutive. So you got to do the work to be able to know what happened prior to this scene, because that's not the scene we filmed prior to, And so in that aspect, I was just living in the moment, and I honestly shocked myself. I mean, all of us, we all did such a good job. We were having panic attacks safely. They took care of us afterwards, but it was intriguing to see what my body can do in that moment, being that I've never been in that situation.
Wow, right on. Was it
Yeah.
hard to, when you as an actor, when you embody these characters and kind of occupy the headspace of such a role, was it hard? And this question is for both of you. Was it hard to kind of shake off the character at the end of the day and return to and center yourself so that you're not still in that fight or flight mode?
You
I guess a
know,
better way to answer that is how did you center yourself at the
right.
end of shooting
Um,
day?
it's really just taking some deep breaths, knowing that you are not the character. And this might be, something I do in my real life when I am going through something intense. If I have other stuff I need to do, I got to put that away. I got to just turn that off. That may or may not be healthy, but that did work for me because, after certain scenes that we had in the movies, I'm like, and then thankfully we had that community of castmates that we were all supportive of each other and there for each other, hugs and everything. So there was a lot of support.
Yeah.
Obviously, this film is layered, like I said, with themes of friendship, mental health, love under pressure, right? How
Yeah.
did you prepare for the emotional weight behind your character and the relationships around him?
Yeah, it for Gucci example, when I first met her during our casting, it kind of she felt like a sister almost, and I think I spoke to you about that multiple times. So it was easy, like we kind of knew she had the role. We're like, okay, I don't know how someone's gonna beat this, but I knew I needed that. So casting everyone, we had over I think 35,000 submissions. So we went through every single one of them because we wanted the best actors for each role. So I knew once we started, me and my partner, we co-directed it because I needed to be out of it at points, especially when I go into becoming, the creature. Because for me, it kind of just disappears. I can't explain it. It's kind of like a thing with football. Like I'll be playing and then the zone happens and I don't know what I did. I just see it later on the screen. And that's kind of what it was for me. And I would warn everybody, I'll tell the first AD, like, hey, once I go in full costume, just like let me be. I will snap out of it really quickly to give a note if I need to. But once I'm back in, I want to stay there because I don't like to cheat my actors or myself. I want us to kind of feel the energy because I don't know what's going to happen. Someone may react differently, and I will respond to that. Because again, if you over prepare and then you start thinking about what you're
Yeah.
going to do, it kind of messes you up. So you want to live in that moment and just prepare enough that once you're there, it's on. So it kind of for me, it was that thing where I trusted my team, kind of had the similar crew. We knew what every actor could bring. So it wasn't like, oh man, I hope these actors, can act. No, they could all bring it. So it was a lot easier going in with them. And I got to play a lot. So outside of trying to kill everybody, it was fun.
So hold up, 35,000 submissions.
Yeah. Yeah. Went through
My word.
every single one.
How long was that process
Cool.
going through all that talented pool? Was it a couple
Um,
months, a couple weeks?
it was about a month process
Wow.
of going through everyone and trying to do the callbacks, and we wanted to have interviews because again, it was one thing to be the top actor, but then it'd come down to maybe there were two actors for the role, but now we got to figure out like what are you wanting, like how would you go into this. Literally one actor got it that way. It was we did an interview, they had the full script, one actor read the script, did a breakdown, the other actor was like, oh, I just think it'd be cool. And I'm like, oh, see, you took the opportunity to do nothing. So that's why, you take the opportunity when you get the full script. Like my manager sends me a script, I'll read the entire thing before I go into a meeting with the director because you want them to see like, okay, this actor is ready to go. I don't have to coach them. I don't have to do all these things. I can direct and they will respond to the notes I give them. And that's what was very easy with the entire cast, especially Gucci. I think if enough people see this, she will probably win an award of some sort. I told her this before, and I stand by it. Just like watching her character, I think she may be the strongest actor in the entire film. Like, and I say that like I love all the actors, but again, I'm saying it publicly now because I said it to her in like behind closed doors. But I want her to know, like, even over myself, like I was crazy in the movie, but at the same time, I think from an actor skill set standpoint, I think she really held it down, and that was important to me casting her because again, she is a woman of color, so you want to kind of push that sometimes. So, and I think she really held it down.
Right on. Gucci, you hear that?
Thank you. Yeah,
Girl,
thank
not
you.
only did you held
I
it down, you deserve an award, and you beat out 35,000 other people. Like,
man, that's a big win. I'll tell you that.
now wait a minute. We fans know Carl Anthony Payne the second from Martin. We love him. He's a cultural icon. How
Yeah.
did he get involved with this project, sir?
So we have the same agent, Joy Purvis. So when we initially wrote the project, we were like, I had this idea. I told one of the investors that I think I can get Carl, and they were like, "How you just gonna say that?" I'm like, "Well, I'm writing it, so I know what he likes to do." And I said, maybe if we switch it up a little bit, give him, cute girl, give him someone younger. He might really like that style of it, and then make him look cool in the movie. Because again, in Martin, he plays a character that's we love. It's funny. Like, I watch Martin probably almost every other night. So to like pull him out of that and show a more serious side, I think as an actor, we always want to do that. And I think it worked out. I told my agent about it. She threw some numbers at me, and I'm like, remember we're independent film, so let's negotiate more. But eventually, he got the script, and I knew in my heart that once he read it, he was going to be all on board, and that's exactly what happened. He read it, and it was like, all right, I'm in. Let's do this, and that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Right on, right on. So I want to go back to something you mentioned again about your process and on set and not being don't yell cut. I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth now, but I translated that as once you were in full monster mode, especially don't yell cut. Let you go through the motion in the scene uninterrupted. So I want to unpack that a little bit more. How did you balance, as a co-writer and co-director and starring in this film, obviously was a juggling act, right? So how did you balance those creative roles? What was it like building this world with your partner? And how do you say your partner's name here? Is it
Um, it's
Patricia?
Patricia, but it's Polish. It's Patricia. So it's
Patricia.
Patricia Kempa. Yeah, it's a little
Yes.
different. Yeah. With her, she made it a lot easier on me because since we did our last movie, Trinket Bus, she kind of learned the layout, and we're working with some of the same people, so you kind of understand like what we can expect. So once we'll write stuff together, and we write really fast because sometimes we're just talking out loud. She's a lot better typer than I am, so she gets it done better. But once we get on set, she knows like moments I'll need my space. So I deal with so much. I think I have like maybe 10 people in my head, and each person deals with like you have the director, you have the actor, you have the, crew member, you have the creative, and it's just trying to figure out for me who takes control at what time. And it's kind of like a unique thing I kind of built up as a kid. I had these little, oh, I'll be this person today and then this person tomorrow. And then now as an adult, I still have that child inside of me that's like, hey, you don't need to deal with this. Let me do this part, and we'll just interchange as we. I sound kind of crazy saying this, but that's really how it works in my head. Because if you saw what I really went through on set, you're probably this guy's kind of crazy. But it's actually easier for me. I actually enjoy all the chaos. It kind of works out in my head. It's weird.
Right
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Gucci, let me ask you something. If your character, right, if your character could speak directly to the audience after everything she experiences in the Grove, what do you think she would say about survival and trust?
Oh gosh. She said after. I was gonna say before, but after. Um, you know, she would probably say, I was gonna say trust your instincts, but her instincts were completely wrong. But she'd probably say you can't trust everyone, no matter how close you guys are, and you really don't know the full depths of someone that you think you know. So here we have Terrence, they were friends prior to her even getting with Chris, which is Carl's character. And they were friends for so long. And here we are, he goes on to do this extra studying things, in Black Ops, and ends up being the reason why they're all dead. So, or not, sorry if anyone has seen it, or not dead, who knows. So yeah, I really can't trust everyone. And you don't really know someone 100%. So yeah.
And let me ask you a quick question, a follow-up question. I mean, the lake house setting is
Mhm.
almost like a character in itself, right? So how did
Yeah.
filming in that environment shape your performances, excuse me, your performance and kind of the performances around you? How did the setting kind of heighten the tension on set?
Yeah, I mean, like the movie, when everyone gets there, oh, this is beautiful, this is nice, there's a hot tub, we got drinks, we're secluded, it's great. And so translating into real life, we get there and we're like, oh my gosh, when we first got to set, we all of us had our phones out, just recording, exploring everything. And then it gets dark, and our trailers were like up the hill from the house, and every time we had to leave from our trailer back to the house or back or vice versa, we definitely had someone walk us because it just out this it's eerie. You know, we're in the middle of the woods. There's no street lights at all. There's no lights but the house lights. So that helped a lot in the moments that we needed, just being in that space. So yeah, it was interesting. I loved it. I had a love and hate relationship with that property for sure.
And
And
how
then
about
I don't know, we were on I'm sorry, we were on Lake Lanier. Am I
Yeah.
allowed to say this?
what?
Yes. And
Really? The
yeah,
haunted Lake Lanier? Oh my word.
yes.
Hold on,
So
Mr. White. Now, when she's done, you got to explain to me why you chose that as the location. Go ahead, Gucci.
what I'm and I didn't know much. I'm sorry, I didn't know. And so I had to Google, and then you start looking around at the houses, which are now buildings or places of businesses, but these are old slave houses, and thankfully everyone there was really nice and really pleasant. Because when I first got there, I was like, I don't know about me out here. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. Me and Acoryé ain't good. Everybody else, others. But yeah.
All right, sir, you got some explaining to do. How did y'all pick Lake Lanier as the cabin house location?
You won't believe what I'm about to tell you, right? So I'm from Alabama originally. So, I'm from the deep South. I mean, where I'm from, you have like one flashing light, yellow and red, Clayton, Alabama. You probably don't even know where it is. So once we were looking for the location, the cabin popped up. We were like, oh, this is exactly what we wanted because we wanted like the wooden interior. We at first like, oh, there's no way they're gonna let us film here. But then we met the owners. They're really nice, and lo and behold, we get the location. To this point, I've never been to Lake Lanier, never heard of Lake Lanier. And once we booked the place, the owner says, "Hey, you guys are renting both cabin houses, one for the crew and one for the acting. Because we like to keep the crew together or something. So we were like, hey, we can stay on the other side." I didn't know you could go from one side to the other by a little boat, and I'm like, but unfortunately I'm black. I'm not getting on that boat with y'all. So, like I said, with me and Good, we're not doing certain things. So I'm like, I'm gonna just drive around. It's like 5 minutes as opposed to the boat. I'm not that, I'm not exploring. I find out at that moment, someone's like, "Oh, have you ever heard about Lake Lanier?" I'm like, "What about Lake Lanier?" And we're on set already. I'm like, "It's haunted." I'm like, "Whatever, it's not haunted." Yeah, I did my research, and I'm like, a couple things start going crazy. I'm like, "Man, am I going crazy?" I'm like, then I start realizing like why I probably shouldn't be filming here. I'm like, okay, nothing will maybe happen to us. But something may happen to other people, but we need to be, no one gets in the water at all. So once I found out all that, I was like, okay, this has a little more meaning now than we thought. So it was weird because at nighttime, again, like Gucci said, no lights. Like if you walk outside, me and Gucci disappear. So that's how if we got on black, you're not gonna see nothing but our teeth and eyes. So like that's how bad it was. Like none. Even when we went there, then we shot in Stone Mountain as well. And we were literally in like
Mm.
20, 30 acres of just wood. So you don't see anything. It's just you have the lights from the gaffer. Other than that, we didn't want to do the CGI green screen stuff. We wanted to really put them in the woods and see what happens. And I think that made it even better. Just being in the woods and not knowing if you really heard something crack or yeah. It was
I would
crazy.
say so. Dark, creepy woods set against the backdrop of Lake Lanier, and an army vet. Wait, are you the army vet that goes crazy and turns into the monster lord today? It's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on.
It's a
Too
lot going on.
much. Too much going on.
Okay, so obviously for horror fans, right, The Grove is going to deliver fear for those who haven't seen it already. I know it came out on April 4th. So
Yes.
for my audience who's not yet tapped into The Grove, especially horror fans, what do you hope they take away from this story? When the credits are long cease, when the credits roll at the end of the end credits, and they're leaving the theater or they're, watching on demand. What do you hope audiences are left thinking about, talking about? What do you hope to leave them resonating with um, after they watch this? Is there a message at the heartbeat of this story that you hope resonates with viewers?
I gotta let ladies first. I gotta let you.
I already low key answered that. That's for you now. You the writer.
Um, I think there are two different groups. I hope have two different experiences. Um, the first being filmmakers. I hope they can see this and understand like when it's a story about us, it doesn't always have to be about the gun or a different level of violence that we can't be creative. That was one of the biggest parts about, if you notice when you go through it, not myself, not Gucci, not Carl ever have a gun at all at any point. That was very intentional. So it's certain things you write into it that are like messages that, we don't have to do certain things without still looking cool and being in a horror. As far as viewers go, I hope they take the time to kind of see what the story really is. It's not just like, oh, we're gonna throw a bunch of gore at you and you never know what's really happening. It's more so about following a story and kind of seeing like, oh wow, they incorporated some sci-fi. The CGI looks really cool when they do enhance stuff, and then it's very bloody and gory, but also understands that there's a sequel and a message behind it where like you really don't know what you think you know. And I think that's the whole thing with everybody. Like Gucci thought she knew TJ, and she really didn't know what he was going through. No one, not even his fiance knew. And the same thing, fiance, she didn't really know TJ. She didn't really know that Amani was doing some things with multiple people in the movie. So it's just like everyone is playing a game. And she's the biggest game player, which is why I don't know why she didn't want to talk about this. But she's the reason behind everything. So if we really want to get to the gist of everything, because of the money and the stuff she pulls in the movie, it brings everyone together. And if everyone doesn't come together, this movie doesn't happen. So at the end
So
of the
you're
day,
like Jigsaw, like the movie Saw. You're the
it's
Jigsaw of the story, huh, Gucci?
Yes, and he's the voice behind the jigsaw.
why go through me in there like that?
Love it.
In the
Okay.
sequel, she will come back and then we'll have to kill her off again just for saying that.
At
It's,
least I get to live twice.
So are you suggesting you want to do a follow-up to this, a sequel to this movie, or is the Grove it? Is that you put a cap on it at the
oh,
end of this?
so the way it ended, it lets you know there will be a sequel, and we're in talks about it already because one producer specifically has reached out about doing it. At first we were like, well, we were gonna put a cap on this Lake Lanier stuff, but we don't have to go back to Lake Lanier to film it. But I will say, if we're going to do the Grove the way it is now, um, remember the movie plays with life and death, so it can bring people back. So you never know who may pop back up. But again, if they do pop back up, they're going to be a lot worse than they were. And the next one will be a lot more action involved and a lot more gore. That's kind of how we like to tease people. We'll give you like something, something cool, but then the second one we bring a lot more of everything. So it will be more than likely a sequel to The Grove.
Well, if your next production team convinces you to go back to Lake Lanier, don't get in the
Nah.
water.
We're
Don't get
not
in
even
the
going
water.
back.
She not going.
We not going.
All righty. All right. Acoryé Gucci, thank you for giving me your time. That's all my questions. It's been a blast speaking with you both, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with my readers and encourage them to watch this film because it's very thrilling. So thank you for sharing with me today.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for having us.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day.
You as
You
well.